No, you only have 30 minutes.
On this episode of Simply Necessary Conversations.
So by the time this gets posted, who knows whether we will have TikTok, whether we won't have TikTok, whether everyone is on red note,
or even if we have
ni hao.
We might not even be able to post it.
Well, I don't think YouTube is going anywhere.
Who knows? Who knows?
But the TikTok ban. So
you mean the 12-hour
and that's
pause?
What I was about to say
12-hour
is
pause?
that I feel like it showed us a lot of things. Mm-hmm. It showed us that many of us, including myself, are in fact addicts. We need some sort of program because the number of times I clicked on TikTok knowing that I didn't have a TikTok. And I was just reading the announcement like, dang.
Because you can't, I'm like,
really?
It's not there. It's not there.
But, I feel like a lot of us knew that it wasn't going to last too long after the CEO made an announcement that he is a certain political figure that is now our president.
Is he not? Well, it's
about that time.
It's about that time. But the thing about it, which obviously we are taping this on January 20th.
No, we're taping this on MLK Day.
Okay. Absolutely. But yeah, as soon as I heard that the owners of TikTok may be at the inauguration, it's like, oh, well, TikTok is not going anywhere. As soon as he said, and you know what I'm talking about, as soon as he said he was not necessarily in favor of the ban, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not going anywhere. It'll go. I thought it was going to be gone for a couple of days, not just a couple hours.
I thought they were at least going to make it seem a little bit like, because we know everything that goes on in the world is one political propaganda stunt.
And it's planned. They knew.
And it's planned
2 weeks ago.
But it's just
exactly,
like, you couldn't,
probably 2 years
y'all
ago.
couldn't hold us out for like a week?
Oh, no. I knew as soon as I heard certain people say that they were not in favor of a ban.
As soon as I saw the announcement from the CEO, I was just like, okay, here we go. But people weren't complaining, or people weren't scared of the fact that profiles would be taken away, especially after the announcement, because the announcement kind of gave like temporary pause. Mm-hmm. People are complaining now about the algorithm because they feel like, much like other social media platforms, X, that is tied to certain political figures. It gives some things are being censored and some things aren't being pushed as much as they normally would be pushed because there's influence now from the government, which I feel like no matter what your political beliefs are, you kind of feel like social media and freedom of speech should be separate from the government. So I think that's what a lot of people's fears are, because before you would see a lot of lives pop up. Now you're not really seeing any lives pop up, and it's kind of given there are no lives because lives can't be easily filtered and censored.
Well, one major political figure who shall remain nameless has lobbied for and kind of said that they think that TikTok should be co-owned by the government, which goes completely against what social media platforms should be.
And I feel like they
should be completely separate.
Does that not go completely against what conservatism is? No.
Well, anyway, the fact that what used to be Twitter, that's now X, the fact that Facebook, the fact that now TikTok, those major platforms are all kind of controlled by a certain group of people, oligarchs, certain group of people that seem to be in power in every aspect of it. Because, we got a 3-ring government, and all 3 rings are in control of one particular part. I don't care what your political
beliefs are. I feel like most people that have a knowledge of history will not be in agreement with everything being the same thing. Like, I feel like where are the checks and balances at this point if everything is going towards one direction? Like, even if it was a Democratic-led presidency, it should never be a full Democrat Congress. Yeah. It should never be a full Democrat Supreme Court.
So we're not going to be political, but the point is, I'm going to just drop something. If you are a reader, if you're somebody that likes to read and you haven't already done it, because if you're a reader and you like to read, you might have already, but read Animal Farm and George Orwell's 1984. George Orwell wrote both of those books. Animal Farm in 1984. Read them. We are living in we're living in the Animal Farm environment, in my opinion, and all animals are not equal. In Animal Farm, they start out all animals are equal, but then it gets quickly changed to all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. We're in the more equal than others part of Animal Farm.
In a comment of some video about this topic, something bad is happening in us. like art is, or life is imitating art at this point. When you look at those dystopian novels, when you look at movies like Wicked,
and it's happening right in front of our faces. When the government, or as people affiliated with the government, or oligarchs, people with money, an oligarchy, by the way, for those of you that don't know, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but an oligarchy is when a government is run by people with money. It is a situation where poor people are at the mercy of people with money, and that's kind of the way that it seems like we're moving. Yeah. But when something like that happens, and then they also control communication, they control, and some people are like, well, they can't control what we say, but they can control what gets out.
They can block you from being able to be seen, but they can control what we see, and that's the scary part of it, is that while on the one hand, you have Mark Zuckerberg saying freedom of speech, even hate speech, go crazy, go ham, say slurs. Yeah. On the other hand, there are certain things that it seems like you can't say that on other platforms and on that platform. So it just is like, what do we really believe in as a country? Do we believe in free speech, or do we believe in censoring speech? Like,
it reeks of double speak. Again, read 1980. It's double speak. Like, yeah, there is on one hand conservatism, on the other hand.
Part of me wonders whether the mass migration over to Red Note, which was a app mainly used by Chinese people, if that wasn't also like this can last only 12 hours. This needs to be sped up, because I feel like a lot of people, including myself, was learning a lot about other cultures and learning a lot about how other people in other countries lived.
So explain what Red Note is, because some people may not know what that is.
Red Note is basically a version of, like, Red Note is China's Instagram, for lack of a better explanation. It's similar in terms of, like, you can post photos, you can post videos. They have all the same popular sounds that we have. The outfit exposed, nail exposed, people talking, showing their life or whatever. But once what they deemed TikTok refugees came over to Red Note, they started, some of the kids started asking Americans for their English homework. People started talking about their lives on there, where normally we would kind of be a little bit disconnected from East Asian culture, by a lot. Yeah. Just because of, like, where we live and what we listen to and what we're into. It kind of opened people's eyes in terms of, like, Chinese people were talking about how much their rent was, which is a lot less than what it is in America. And obviously there's going to be pros and cons to both countries, so I'm not trying to say, like, China is better than America by any means.
We're not saying that before somebody
calls me a commie or something. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. But it opened Americans' eyes a little bit to being like, how much of this American propaganda are we being susceptible to? How much Chinese propaganda are they being susceptible to? How much nationalism influences what people think about other people in other countries?
And then the conspiracy theorist in me wonders, like, it can go two ways. So I always think of things in multiple ways. So part of me says, maybe what you're saying, when they saw people using that platform, they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. Let's go back. This is the devil we know is better than the devil we don't know. But then also I wonder if the people that orchestrated this, because I think everything is orchestrated. Yeah. The people that orchestrated this did not intentionally pause TikTok, knowing that there would be a bunch of social media refugees that would go to Red Note, so that China, in a certain kind of way, could get some insights into what's going on over here. So, like, it
also makes you wonder. The main reason that TikTok was supposedly wanting to be banned, and let's do a history lesson, because I feel like a lot of people have forgot. TikTok, the whole TikTok ban thing came about because Trump said he wanted a TikTok ban in 2020. Everyone forgot about that.
Even though we don't credit him with being very intelligent, all of that may have been intentional. Like, we don't know how much of this.
I'm giving you the facts I'm giving facts without my opinion. Okay. In 2020, he called for a TikTok ban because blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Then, obviously, he left office. Joe Biden gets in office. The TikTok ban conversation continues. Allegedly.
Supposedly to protect children, right? from social media, overuse of social. What was the TikTok ban about?
The purpose of the TikTok ban
because
China was stealing our information.
And they were afraid that China had too much.
At least that's what the government was saying, that China was stealing our information.
Yeah.
But if you look at all of the congressmen and women who for some reason are allowed to trade stocks, which to me is just like, why are they allowed to do that?
There's a whole lot.
Which, I'm not picking a side here, bipartisan.
Nobody that's making laws about stocks should be able to be trading stocks.
Bipartisan, they had stocks in Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram and Threads. Mm-hmm. TikTok was is a direct, or was, who knows at this point, direct competitor to Meta. Mm-hmm. So then the Congress people were just like, China's stealing your data, which, do we know whether that's true? How are we going to know?
The world will never know.
But the company that owns TikTok, ByteDance, is supposedly a Chinese company that was able to access so much data, steal so much data, whatever. Mm-hmm. So all of these congressmen and women voted to ban TikTok, which also was kind of in their best interest because they had stock in Meta. And this is all from gathered knowledge here and there and everywhere. At this point, it went through to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court didn't even say that it made sense to ban TikTok, but they said, because the case that was brought to the Supreme Court was, does banning TikTok infringe on First Amendment rights? They ruled that banning it does not infringe on First Amendment rights, but basically was saying that we're not deciding whether it makes sense or not. We're just deciding whether it infringes on First Amendment rights. And it doesn't. So that's why the TikTok ban was able to go forward without it being stopped by anything at that point, because obviously the Supreme Court is the highest land in the law, or the highest law of the land.
Yeah.
So that's how we get to here, and also let's remind ourselves that Biden said he wasn't going to enforce a TikTok ban before leaving office. So there was no reason for TikTok to go dark for those 12 hours because Biden already said...
there was a reason, because the TikTok CEO was friends with the incoming president, and he needed to make it seem like the incoming president
that's what people in the streets are saying.
TikTok. Oh my gosh.
And
TikTok. We should thank him.
Somehow they managed to plan a whole inauguration party for the president-elect while also debating about whether TikTok was even still going to remain in America. So...
yeah.
With all of that being said, we are all just pawns of politics at this point.
We are.
And I feel like
the bottom line is the TikTok pause is over for the next few minutes. We don't know.
I feel like everyone is just glad that TikTok has been saved, but like everyone is just bracing themselves for the algorithm is probably going to change, because who knows whether Meta will buy TikTok, somebody else will buy TikTok. Who knows what's going to happen.
And I can't let this conversation end without throwing in Facebook took away its fact checkers because Zuckerberg said that there was too much censorship. He took away the fact checkers because there was too much censorship. Let's see what happens now that he decided that checking facts, not telling people what they could and couldn't say, but checking facts was censorship. Let's see how that goes. I'm interested to see how all social media starts to move.
And I feel like we as a people who care about First Amendment rights and care about not living in a country where we are censored, we almost don't have a choice, because how else are we going to talk to each other? Yeah. We have to use some platform, and most people do not have the money to create a platform and to publicize that platform and to go out and tell people to join that platform. So it's almost like we're trying to work within a system
that works against us.
That works against us in terms of we can't communicate freely with each other. A Republican and Democrat can't have a healthy conversation about politics with pure facts with each other, because, like, how are you going to do it?
You'll get put in Facebook jail if you say certain things on Facebook and things like that. Now, I don't know with this lifting of the fact checking if that will change. But
I mean, you can already kind of tell, because and that's what a lot of people were saying with the TikTok ban, is that the energy on TikTok used to be, there were, like, if you said SEX, your account is going to get flagged. If you said somebody off themselves, you were going to get, not banned, but like
you had to say unalived.
Unalived. There were strict community guidelines where if you go on Instagram Reels and you open those comments, you get hit with racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, all of the phobias, all of the
but
things.
That was true free speech. It was
true free speech. But now it's like, are we going to have that free speech without other free speech? Like, are we just going to go crazy and everybody can say whatever? Or
well, they need to know they can try to stop people, but we are resilient. We will come up. We'll start using Morse code. We'll use passenger pigeon. We'll use whatever we got it. But you are not going to stop. Also, and these here United States, where people are resilient and where people are used to being able to exercise their civil rights, we will find a way. We will find a way. If we have to use smoke signals, if we have to, I feel like
the TikTok ban itself showed that people are going to figure out a way to get the things that they want.
We sure
because
are.
Who would have thought that? Like who even? I don't. And that kind of makes it seem like, to your point, that it was planned. Because where did Red Note come from? I had never heard of it until people started talking about it.
There's
and it's just
tons
like,
of there.
And that's another point too.
Not where it came from, because clearly something over in China could exist without our knowledge. But how did people find out about it so fast and it gets so prolific?
Why is it that the law was only about ByteDance or whatever the company name was? Why wouldn't they have banned any Chinese-owned social media company? Because why is Red Note even still accessible if TikTok is like? There's just so many unanswered
whole lot of
questions.
We will probably never have answers, but just know this: people in control and in power, we will find a way. You are not going to stop us from communicating. You are not going to stop us from pursuing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You can't do it. You won't do it. We ain't standing for it. No,
not on this MLK Day. But anyway,
no, sure not.
You gonna start saying I have a dream?
Well, black children and white children, Jews and Gentiles, like everybody, you are not going to stop us. You're not coming for us anyway, because we have a dream.
And you know who else you're not stopping? You're not stopping Issa Rae from making hit after hit. You're not stopping Issa Rae.
Anything. You're not stopping her from anything.
Let me put y'all on today is about her new movie that she did with both SZA and Keke Palmer. They star in the movie. You got what is that lady's name from Avid? Janelle James, I believe that's her name. You got Cat Williams. You got a lot of different names that pop up. You got Lil Rel,
some people that we have not seen. Yeah.
But One of Them Days is out in theaters now. By the time y'all see this, it should still be out in theaters.
Doing well.
And I feel like I really enjoyed it because one, Issa really writes. She is a black woman that writes movies and TV shows for black women, and I love to see
She writes for black people with an emphasis on black women's
But anybody
issues.
can enjoy it, and anybody can relate to it, and there's always going to be a character for everybody. But as a black person, it's just refreshing to see, like, yes, that is us on screen. And it's also like kind of an ode to those early 2000 movies. Like I kept saying while I was watching it, I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Friday, but with girls.
Yeah.
Like it's very much something goes wrong, something happens, and they go on this whole little adventure, and it's funny.
Look, Thelma and Louise in town. They don't leave town. You don't know Thelma and Louise.
I know who Thelma and Louise are.
Like Thelma and Louise.
It's very like it was very regular. Like in the story wasn't crazy in terms of like it wasn't a Fast and Furious where they jump out of planes and trains and like there's not a whole bunch of action.
It's action, but it's controlled action. It's not like
it's a true. Comedy is something that I could obviously see becoming like one of those. Okay, every black person has seen this movie.
Yeah.
But it was just a fun time. I love seeing SZA act because she normally is very
the most
shy.
I've ever seen her talk. Mm-hmm. It lets us know that she is funny. She has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And can you ever go wrong with Keke?
You can't go wrong
Even
with
when Keke's doing something I don't agree with, I still like her because her delivery.
You can't go wrong with Keke.
Her delivery is always fantastic. She is just such a sweet soul to me and just a regular girl. Money didn't change her. She is funny. I feel like a lot of what was in the movie is stuff that like she knows from real life, and that's what made the movie. The parts because I don't like slapstick. There was a little bit of slapstick humor, and I don't like that. But you were definitely gonna laugh out loud at least a couple times during this movie.
I feel like they could play those characters because at some point in their life, they both were broke. They weren't always famous.
Characters. And what was really nice was the friendship. Friendship. They got mad at each other. They had beef with each other for moments at a time, but there always was that underlying love. Like, she's so stupid, but let me go save my friend.
Yeah.
Like, so that part, because we've all lived that.
And then there was an element of romance, which I love a good romance element in a movie. There was an element of like shy girl that gets all like, and it was like when I was watching, I'm like, this is so relatable. Like every girl has been in a situation where they're in a new situation with somebody, and they're just like, I don't know how to talk anymore.
Not giving away any spoilers. It starts that way with her just being like, So we've all experienced and endured those moments where you just don't know what to say.
And it wasn't it was a funny, unrealistic ending, but it wasn't crazy in terms of like there could be a part 2 to it. Like it was not a conclusive.
That's the part. Now we want to know what happens to them next.
Yeah.
Like she was very strategic and smart. Because Issa don't do stuff by mistake. She's a pro. Very much now, those characters, if you watch the movie and you like that, you are invested in them and you want to know more of their story.
And what's impressive too is they filmed the movie in 22 days, I think Keke Palmer posted that. They filmed it in 22 days, so it was very much almost like, I felt like it kind of gave like a Madea Tyler Perry vibe, where it's like you could tell they improv'd a lot of that and they didn't have a lot of time to work with, but it was still a really good movie, and it just made me miss Insecure.
And it happened in the neighborhood. They did not have to, other than maybe one scene, they really didn't have to leave the neighborhood. And we all know, if you grew up in a black neighborhood, there's so much humor. There is so much family and friendship and riches. Even people that are shady with each other in a black neighborhood are going to look out for each other.
And there were so many things where it was just like, yeah, I know that character in real life. Yeah, I know.
We know him. We know
and they
her.
had diversity. There were white characters in the movie, and it made it that much funnier because it was just like, without spoiling too much, because I believe this is it's in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling it. They're in this like black neighborhood where like things are a little bit run down, and they have the landlord that's getting on everybody's behind about like pay the rent and doesn't fix things or whatever. But then this white girl comes into the community, and for some reason, her apartment is spick and span and perfect and fine, and he's baking her cookies, and it's just like it's poking fun at like gentrification. Yeah. And also, she's like cool, and she doesn't realize what's going on.
And she is unfortunately the stereotypical white girl who wants to be friends with black people.
She don't understand what's happening, she's going to the cookout and she's having a blast.
She's invited. We have her shirt size,
she's having a blast, and it's just funny because it's just like. This would definitely happen in real life.
Yeah, there were parts of the movie, because you know me, I pick stuff apart. I was like, really? But it was funny and it was fun. And yes, I want to know what they do next.
Really felt like
I want to know what they do
with different characters. We were back at the Dune. We were back with Issa and Lawrence. Yeah. And we were watching that whole thing play out again. It gave very much Issa and Molly. Yeah. And if you have ever seen Insecure.
It makes you feel like, okay, in a way. Well, I want to say Issa is the female Tyler Perry, but like no, Issa is Issa. Exactly, like she's her own somebody, and like she's not even up and coming, so that's not even the right phrase. But we're gonna see more and more from her. We're gonna see more and more from her, and I love her because I feel like everything that she does is a love note to black culture.
And I feel like she is this even though Shonda is still very much active. Love Bridgerton, Shonda, if you want to give me a role. Well, I don't think I want to be on Bridgerton because there's a lot of things. But anyway.
I want you to be on Bridgerton because that probably would be a good check. But
but I have to do a lot of stuff that I'm not going to do on camera on Bridgerton.
Ask them not to give you that part, but go ahead.
But yes, I love Bridgerton. I had a whole theme party. It's Shonda. Like I'm a fan. Bow down. But anyway, I feel like Issa is this generation Shonda Rhimes. Shonda had a lock on the early 2010s. She had a lock on How to Get Away with Murder on Scandal, which I'm still going through Scandal because it's a bit long because I'm behind everything and it's already ended. Yeah. But she had a lock on that, and now I feel like Shonda and Issa do something together.
If they team up,
I feel like they could do a really good comedy mystery movie. Because Shonda loves a good twist and a mystery. If you watch How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal, and Issa loves comedy. Look, I can help y'all.
Like she is just funny without trying. Like she is just and intelligent. Humor. Like that's what I like about her is that like everything is intentional. Like everything that she does is a love note to her people. It's a love note to black culture, a nod to us that we are here, we are going to be here, and you cannot stop us. Like,
and I feel like she doesn't stick. Like her stuff doesn't feel like the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Like when she was in The Photograph, it was a romance movie through and through.
Yeah, yeah. When she was in there with my boo.
We know you love. Lakeith, though they say Lakeith don't take care of his kids.
Oh,
but
no. Lakeith, no. Come on now.
Anyway, she defies genres very much. She's Beyonce of TV. She defies genres. Yeah. But we love you, Issa. If you want to put me in the next movie, just
Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing, girl.
DM me.
You don't need us to tell you that, but we appreciate
my
you.
My DMs are open.
We appreciate you.
Anyway, so talking about things that are very interesting and very debatable. So what had happened was today, I'm just going to read what this person posted and then we shall discuss. She says, and her at is, this is an interesting at Miss Mom 365247. Yes, I'm adding you, ma'am. You put this online. Our sons are aware that if they have babies out of wedlock, they lose their inheritance for them and will have to start from scratch. We are clear about this prior to having children. Most boys are comfortable with doing this, or most boys comfortable with doing this is because they have zero standards, expectations, and inheritance in all capital letters. You have to incentivize good behavior / decisions. Now, people were arguing with her. They were like, oh, that's so unfair, blah, 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 blah. I think she was really onto something.
I think mom is standing on business and she's standing on the right kind of business because there is nothing that says you have to have a child out of wedlock. There's all kinds of ways to prevent having a child out of wedlock. And a life is nothing to play with. And it's her money. And if she says if you have a baby that you are from somebody and you're not married to them, I'm not giving you my money, that's her business.
I feel like what people,
I'm right there with you, Mom.
I feel like what people will fail to realize is an inheritance is not an obligation.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed.
An inheritance is a gift.
And you can gift your money to whoever you want to gift it to.
You don't have to give me all of your money when you pass on to the other side. Now, would I be very confused if you gave it to somebody else? Yes, because who are you finna give it to other than me? But I don't expect you to just hand it to me.
It's not something that you can demand. It's something that obviously I plan to do.
And I feel
like it's not something that you can demand.
I feel like people give boys a little bit too much slack, and it's just like, oh, they're boys, they're wild, they're gonna want to have the sex.
And no, want to sit down, wild oats and all that kind of stuff.
Like,
no,
they don't down somewhere.
And even she didn't say
you had to be a virgin.
Oats. What she said was if you sow oats, make sure you ain't planting seeds and growing more oats.
She said don't have a baby.
And there's nothing wrong with having. Now, the question then becomes, because I'm being devil's advocate, question then becomes, what if marriage is not in their future, but they want kids? Because people are embracing, like, some people don't want the marriage, but they do want kids. Is she open to negotiation in a situation like that? Like,
I just don't see a boy saying that he just want kids just to have kids.
But seeing that's everybody, men are not a monolith, like how we say black people are not a monolith, women are not a monolith. So what if one of her sons says marriage is not in my future, but I do want to have children? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Well, but generally, I agree with her.
Are you saying that he's like gay, or he just doesn't?
He might just be a heterosexual male and doesn't want to get married.
Because I can see you saying like maybe he's like gay and he doesn't, or maybe he can't get married wherever he is.
He may just not want to be married. So anyway,
but I don't know, because if I was a mom, it still stands. Because why are you trying to have kids with somebody you're not married to? That's stupid.
Okay, so what about these older women? Because we're going off on a tangent a little bit. We'll come back to the main topic. But what about these women who have not met a man, haven't got married, whatever, and don't have kids, and then they get in their 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, and decide they want to have kids?
Y'all gonna hate me for saying it, but I feel like you should leave them kids where they at. Okay. Because I feel like if you're at that stage in your life where you don't have anybody and you're getting older, whatever, I feel like for me, I would just adopt and give a child that doesn't already have a home.
So, well, would mom, is that like...
I feel like adoption is different than just...
You're saying what you feel like. We're asking mom now. And of course
she's not going to answer.
But I'm just saying, I'm being devil's advocate and saying there's a whole lot of scenarios that would have to be taken under consideration. But generally, I feel like I agree with what she's saying.
She's trying to prevent a Nick Cannon situation from occurring.
Yeah, hopefully it wouldn't get to that level.
I feel like it's not her being against having a grandchild. I think it's her against creating fatherless homes over and over and over again.
And I agree with her.
Some men, they have a baby and it's
not a big deal, especially and then society tends to give men, because based on this, I'm assuming that she has an inheritance to give, which means that they come from money. Society tends to give men with money a pass when they father children out of wedlock.
Yeah, it's just like,
he can take care of them. He got enough money, he can take care of them. Eddie Murphy, Nick Cannon, all these celebrities and men with money that have kids out of wedlock are given a pass. But the person out in the hood that's the deadbeat dad, that is considered a deadbeat dad when he does not have money, it's not okay for them. It's not okay. And I understand one can support the kids and one can't, but emotional support is still not going to be the same.
I can only talk for black people because I'm black. Like, I'm not going through a whole explanation.
Sure? I'm just kidding.
Don't start, because people will be like, you mixed. Anyway.
She ain't mixed. I know who her daddy is. Don't start.
I know who my daddy is. Anyway.
I know who her daddy is.
So I can only speak for black people because I'm black and I haven't lived in a different life.
Yeah.
I feel like we as a community, we don't need to keep perpetuating this like one parent household thing. I feel like it's detrimental to our community, and I feel like we as a people,
the comments that's gonna come.
I don't care. I don't care. And then they're gonna be like, "That's why you don't have a man." I do have a man. That's why you don't have kids. Absolutely, I don't. But anyway, why are we creating the situation? Like when you see successful people, a lot of times they're gonna come from a loving 2-parent home where they're taking care of. And this is coming from somebody that no longer has a 2-parent home. So
if nothing else, it is much easier when you have.
And I'm not judging single parents. Let me make it clear. I'm not judging single parents.
It is much easier because some people are single parents not by choice. But
yes, I'm not judging single parents. But if you have the capability of obtaining contraceptives and you choose not to, and you accidentally have a kid, and then the kid grows up and the kid does not have one or the other parent, what have we accomplished here? Other than...
Well, the kid can still be well-adjusted,
yes, the kid can do fine, but I feel like the kid could do better if there are two. Just from the simple fact that there's going to be 2 incomes. There's going to be 2 perspectives. There's going to be 2 families that you can learn. Like, there's so many reasons why I feel like it's important to have both parents. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm so much, but how am I better than you? Like, I'm not. You're divorced. I understand the situation. I can understand what can happen.
It happens, but it's not something that you should
I'm never going to look at my boyfriend and be like, you know what? Let's make a baby, even though we're not married yet, just for the hell of it, just for fun.
Don't say hell.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm not going to do that because, like, why would all of the people that I know and love that are successful, that are amazing people, come from broken homes. There's not someone that I can think of off the top of my mind other than friends who, like, I'm not going to go into their whole lives.
Don't say broken. They come from non-traditional homes because people get offended by that, and I can understand taking offense because there was nothing broken about my home.
I'm in a broken home. Y'all are sensitive.
Okay, I acknowledge, you and I acknowledge that our home was broken because it was a 2-parent household. One parent decided to go off and do things. So we consider it broken, and we can say that about our situation. So we've accepted that about our situation. So we're going to categorize situations similar to ours as broken. I just feel like we're talking
semantics a little bit.
Some people prefer the term non-traditional, and we respect that. But
I would label non-traditional as other things other than you intentionally not using contraceptive and having a baby and then not taking care of the baby. Or
accidentally having a baby even though you were using contraceptives. Like that, you can end up with a single parent home that way.
Yes.
But what we're saying is making a conscious decision to have a child with someone that you do not want to be exposed to, or that you don't want to be in a committed relationship
I'm saying, like, I'm not judging, but I'm saying it's not the best.
Well, you kind of are judging.
Like, no, I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's not the best situation for a child.
And to say it's not the best is a form of judgment.
Well, I'm judging then.
Okay, so let's just be real.
I'm just saying, like,
let's just
I'm
be
not,
real.
because I'm not wishing this on myself. But it could happen to me one day, and I'll look back at this.
I never planned to be.
And I'll look back at this and I'll be like, dang, I should have shut up. But I feel like I'll still feel the same, as in it's not the best situation.
You're right. So if, like I said, my home was broken. In my opinion, it's not an ideal situation.
That's not to say that everybody that got 2 parents are in the best, because I know plenty of people that are not in a good situation and they have two parents.
Yeah, because there's some raggedy 2-parent homes.
Just because you have 2 parents doesn't mean you have 2 present parents. It don't mean you have 2 same parents. But what I'm saying is the ideal situation, in my opinion, is married couple raises kid. They're both sane. They're both capable. They both have the funds to be able to afford it, and everyone lives happily ever after. If that's not my case, that's not your case, that's not anybody I know case, that's cool.
It's what you aspire to.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's a culture within specifically the Black community where where there's an aspiration to be a baby mama and to be like, well, he's gonna pay child support and I can just live off that and I can take
I don't think there's an aspiration, there's an acceptance.
I think
there's an acceptance.
If you listen to Sexy Red Talk, there's an aspiration.
I don't count her for anything. And no offense to her, I don't know that lady. But the stuff that she sings about would never be what I would want for my child. And
listen, and no shade to Sexy Red, because she's definitely on my playlist. Shamelessly.
She is not on my playlist, and the things that she espouses in her music, to me, are detrimental to females and to the Black community. no shade to her, make your money, do whatever you got to do. I don't like the message that she puts out.
I feel like there are some people that they aspire to be mothers, whether they're married or not.
And there are some people with that mindset.
I think that's a little bit like weird. And I feel like if you're going to do that, why not adopt? Not to make choices for people.
I agree with Mom. If that's how she wants it to, like if those are the rules and requirements she has for her sons, stand on business.
And
Mom.
I don't think that's that hard to do. Like, it's not that hard to accomplish.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm sure she'd be the type of person that if something happened, and like, I'm sure she would be able to work with them. But I feel like setting that tone up front is just going to prevent them from doing something they probably would regret otherwise. Because why would you intentionally want to have a baby with somebody that you don't want to marry?
Anyway, we're on Mom's side. I mean,
I already know money. Y'all are about to be arguing with me in the comments.
And she can do what she wants to with it. Just either the boys are going to abide by her requirements or they're not going to be in her, like they're not going to get her money.
At the end of the day, it's that lady's money.
Yeah.
And maybe she is a victim of, or not, I don't want to say victim, but maybe she's a single parent. Or maybe she knows that their father wasn't there for them or something, and she wants to break that cycle before it becomes like a continuous thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Something else that y'all probably going to find something to complain and argue about. I saw BT was doing like a round table, and it was a bunch of celebrities like Cordell. What I was about to say Beckham Jr. That's Odell. Yeah. But his brother, Cordell, Jacquees, Da Vinci, a bunch of like famous like young black men, like all my age or a touch older than me. And they were talking about, is it essential? Like, is it a must for a child to have his or her father's last name? And they almost like they weren't arguing about it, but some of them had a different take. Some of them said they would give both last names to their kid because they want to, pay respect and pay ode to the other family. And then like Da Vinci, for example, he was like, I'm Haitian. No, they got to have my last name. That's that. That's it. There is no talking about it. There's no debating it. So what do you think? Do you think a kid has to have the father's last name?
Well, they don't have to. Like, they don't have to. I think it's best that they have the father's last name because everybody knows who the mother of a baby is. Like, that's unquestioned. But giving the child the father's last name kind of solidifies that the father is acknowledging that he is indeed the father. I know in a lot of Hispanic cultures, they take both parents' last name automatically. And I think that probably is the more ideal situation because that takes care of it. Like, they got both parents' last name. I don't see why you would not want your kids to have their father. I could see wanting them to have your last name too, but I don't understand why.
And I'm assuming this is in the guise of
unless you're estranged from the father, unless the father was abusive or neglectful, or like if the person is a good father, I think the child should.
Yeah, like obviously there's extenuating circumstances where if this was like an abusive relationship or something, you wouldn't want to pass that name down to your child. Yeah. But for me, I feel like you taking your daddy's name. I'm not. We're like, because I can't wait to get rid of my name. I don't care. Well, I don't know why you're making it. I say this every day. I can't wait to get rid of my name. I can't wait to take his name, even though I like the way my name sounds. But I can't wait to take his name. So yes, my kid is going to also have his name. We're going to have his name together. We're all going to have the same last name because we're a familiar
unit. You could do like Wendy Williams did, and your professional name can be your name and then your married name. And that, in a way,
I feel like my name
allows you to separate your business from
I feel like my name is unique enough in terms of there are no famous people or anything that are named Imari. So
I mean, there probably is, but we
maybe in like another country, but like there's no famous people in the U.S. that's named Imari.
We can't even say that because we literally, Mom and I just went to a place.
That lady wasn't famous.
Well, yeah, but she had my last name.
Well, I'm not saying that somebody else I know has my name, but I said a famous person. No, there's no famous celebrity that has my name. Yeah, so I feel like if for any reason I needed to go by Imari, there's not going to be there's not like Jennifer. Are we talking about Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Aniston,
Jennifer Hudson?
Like there is not like that, or it's not like Ashley.
But Imari is not as unique as you think. So,
no, but in terms of like having a stage name or something, or having a social media presence.
Okay, y'all, this is homework. If you know a famous Imari here in the United States, tell us.
I would be shocked.
Like, tell us who they are. Imari
famous.
with the same spelling and everything, because there might be Amaris, because there is a singer that has a name that's similar to yours. That Anyway,
if somebody else got my name,
but if you know a famous Imari, drop it in the comments because we want to know who that is. But anyway,
but I would just go by my first name. Yeah. I would just drop my last name, go by my first name, publicly, because I'm not gonna say his last name because y'all not gonna find him.
Yeah.
And stalk my life, but I feel like it doesn't mesh well. Not in terms of like we don't mesh well because we mesh great, but
his name
doesn't fit my first name.
Not as melodic as your current
but
name.
Best believe on them documents, it is going to say his last name.
I hyphenated for the reason that I wanted to be able to continue to be the person that I was prior to marriage, and I wanted to. Even though me and him fight like cats and dogs, my father did too much for me to just drop his name and pick up somebody else's name. That was my feeling. So I hyphenated so that I could go by both names. And I'm glad I did, because now that I'm divorced, I went back to using my maiden name in terms of if somebody asked me which last name do you want. Legally, it's still on the paper. But everybody that I interact with, when they ask me my name, I use my pre-married name because I don't want to continue to be associated with his name. But on paper, that's what I am. And then also because I want people to know I was very much exposed when I gave birth to you.
And that's the thing, too, is like I want all my children and me, we will all have the same last name.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot of what makes it a family. You all share the same. And some people don't agree with that. That's your grown business. Do whatever you want to. But I feel like there's some women that are like, if he's worth marrying, he's worth adding his name to your name.
And I don't know. I feel like to me, because I'm very traditional in terms of my personal life, like my views are very much like do whatever you want, liberal, whatever. But in my personal life, I'm a lot more traditional. I would feel like it's disrespectful not to take his name. Like, do I not love him? Like, why would I not take his name?
Yeah, some people don't.
And some people don't even like hyphenating. I don't want to hyphenate because I want to change my last name completely. Yeah. So I'm not going to hyphenate, but I'm not against hyphenation. I know some guys are just like, why are you hyphenating? Like, why don't you just want to take my name? Yeah, you can make me have to
go through all that paperwork to drop the name when you drop the name.
Yes, because I said you are keeping the same last name as me until I get married.
Keep it until you got married, but it's like, so once you get married, now I'm walking around with it on my back and you got rid of it.
Well, we can go to wherever you got to go to change the name at the same time.
That's a lot of stuff. But thankfully, like I said, by hyphenating, my last name came first anyway. So like dropping part of it won't be as, a big deal as like changing the whole thing.
Yes.
Anyway, because like I can remember my in-laws when they asked your name, like after you were born, what your name was, and I just told them, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, what about the last part? Like, what about the last name? I was like, well, obviously that's, and one of them was like, well, we didn't know. It's like, well, yeah, I gave her his last name because he's her dad. But now, like, I'm just kind of glad that I hyphenated so that when I
I can't hyphenate because my name already so long. It's all like I have two middle names. Yeah. It would just go on forever and ever.
Do we think that the children should have the father's last name unless the father has done something to cause that to be not a good thing? I think that they should. But
you know how Adrian? We don't call Adrian by loan anymore. We call her Adrian Houghton. Mm-hmm. This is a throwback to the Cheetah Girls in the Real, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, she loves her husband.
But like when she got married, she was serious.
She was like, she wanted to embrace her husband because apparently she's in love with her husband. She thinks he's a good man, and based on only what we've seen from the outside, he takes good care of Adrian. So that's a man.
I'm gonna pull me at Adrian, and y'all gonna know me by my new name, and that's just gonna be that on that.
Like, well, if I find a decent enough man that treats me like I want to be treated, I'll be like Sarah.
But
I'll be like Sarah in the Bible and call him Lord. But until I do, I'm
not doing that.
Yeah, that was hyperbole. That was a bit of hyperbole.
I'm not doing that.
I did refer to him as Lord. But what I'm saying is, make me want to carry your name. Make me want your name.
Back in the day, I used to say that I wanted to have your last, like I wanted to be Walker.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, no, you can't be like, I was ahead of the times. Anyway.
Yeah, ironically, your other parent wanted me to do both names, but because you already had two middle names, like this child walking around with 5 names and ain't even married. So like, no. But anyway, and I knew that at some point in time you would get married and then
it wouldn't really matter.
So it wasn't a big
I feel like last names, I mean, they're important, but like they're not. Like,
you're very much.
But no, that last name Walker will be carried on. Yeah, it'll be carried on.
Yeah, you're very much a Walker.
My last name probably will die, at least by my doing.
Yeah, well, that when you have a girl, that's what happens.
Yeah, probably.
You have a girl, that's what happens. Yeah,
I'll carry him on his.
There's enough of them. They'll keep it going.
Not really that worried about it.
Look, they'll keep it going.
There's enough kids on that side of the family.
And don't get me wrong, there are in-laws or
I love
former in-laws that I love dearly that I still communicate with.
Yes, I love many of them.
They are always going to be my family.
But
as far as carrying the name,
the
I don't
ones
need to do
that they know
them.
that I love and appreciate, y'all know I love and appreciate y'all. This is directed only towards one person. It's not you. So, Gemini Gems.
Anyway.
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go first.
So using reusable bags as gift bags is a good way to, number one, make your gift a little bit more worthwhile, and number two, save some money. Because if you've ever been shopping at any like TJ Maxx or Ross or anything, they usually have like the 99-cent gift bags, and they're usually themed around whatever time of the year. So like Christmas, it'll be Christmas stuff. Valentine's Day will be Valentine's Day stuff. That are
just like,
and some of them are just neutral bags, but they're usually super cheap, 99-cent. They're usually big. You can fit a lot of stuff in them, and that way they'll have like a travel bag that also goes with their gift, and you're not wasting your money going to Dollar Tree and getting like a little flimsy bag that's gonna break.
Don't buy the paper bags. Buy, like, if you're gonna buy a gift bag, and they're only 99 cents, and a lot of times, or $1.49, but usually they're inexpensive. Like, that's a better route, and it's better for the environment because it's reusable, it's recyclable, whatever.
Reuse, reduce, and recycle. Cha.
Anyway,
if you watch iCarly, you know what that was about. Continue.
To piggyback off of the bag theme, a lot of us, sometimes need to switch purses, but like that's very labor intensive if you like me and got everything in the world in a purse. So I usually will have a smaller bag that I carry every day, like as my grandma used to say. I miss my grandma saying everyday purse, like I got an everyday purse. But sometimes if I'm going somewhere, especially like if I'm going to a theme park or I'm going somewhere where I need a little bit more stuff, I'll switch to a bigger bag. Instead of taking everything out of the smaller bag, people just take that small bag, put it inside the big bag, and then add the other stuff instead of transferring everything. Yeah. And then
I do that a lot for work.
Yeah, so like just, I usually have a bag that's fairly smallish, just enough to have my essentials. Instead of changing purses altogether, if it's big enough, I will take my small bag, put it inside of the bigger bag, and then just add whatever I need to save time, and so that, I'm not like going through all of that over and over and over again. So anyway, I'm sure some of you probably have thought of that, but for those of you that have not, that's my Gemini Gem.
And with all of that being said, hopefully you will still see these clips on TikTok. Let's hope YouTube doesn't go anywhere. But don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Period.